our first afternoon session speakers, we have, and forgive me if I butcher their names, Ameya, Vaidya, and Toshal, Khawale. Ameya is a senior technical trainer at Brainfloss. He has over 15 years of experience in managing security and vulnerabilities. Ameya has deployed vulnerability management tools at several banks and esteemed organizations across the world. Ameya is a 5-time AWS certified professional and has been a freelance technical trainer for AWS for the past 5 years. And he has trained over 2,000 individuals. Toshal is a seasoned tech leader with 22 plus years of experience. He is the current Vice President Engineering Manager at JPMorgan & Chase. Toshal's experience lies in solution consulting and design, with a particular focus on crafting and deploying solutions on industry-leading cloud platforms. He is also the AWS User Group Pune leader and has been an ACD organizer for the last 5 years. So please, their topic is enhancing security posture with AWS Inspector, best practices, use cases, and future directions. Please help me in welcoming Toshal and Ameya.
Thank you, Aparna, for that introduction. And I think the security topic are a bit heavy to digest, but yes, we'll try to make it smooth for you. Yes, so with the introduction she has given, I will not talk much. So my name is Toshal Khawale, and Namaskaram Kochi. This is first time I am talking to you at any tech conference. So I'm loving the atmosphere here. Apart from my technical background, I love adventure. I'm very fond of trekking and all those things. And yes, I'm part of the AWS User Group Pune, just like what Dijesh and the team is doing here. And over to you, Ameya.
Hey, thank you, Toshal. Thank you, everyone. So thank you, Kochi team, for inviting us. So very good afternoon, all. My name is Ameya Vaidya. So born and brought up in Nashik and currently earning in Pune. So I have a more than 15 plus of years experience in the industry. So basically, I'm the cybersecurity guy. Because I want to be a developer, but unfortunately, on the first day of my class C, that ruined my life, and I thought that it's not my bread and butter. So that blueprint, renew everything, but again, I got a chance to work with the cybersecurity. So from the day one to till now, I'm working with the different organizations related to the cybersecurity. Last organizations, Watson College, which is known for the vulnerability management, then policy compliance, PCI compliances. So one of the, my regular tasks, that's managing the vulnerability. So I thought, okay, let's present the same topic, but in AWS, related to the AWS. So first, what exactly we are going to, before we start, what exactly the AWS Inspector? Let me give you the some information. So what do you think? What is a vulnerability? So we have some session, even some other folks also said about the vulnerability. So what do you think? What is a vulnerability? What do you think? Anyone? What do you think? What is a vulnerability? Sorry? Okay.
Wonderful.
Sorry?
Weaknesses,
right? So what exactly the vulnerability? Vulnerability is nothing but a weakness. Am I correct? Weakness is a vulnerability. Have you seen any vulnerability here? What is a vulnerability here?
Yeah. Spelling?
What?
He is not good at spelling, so just.
So what is a mistake in spelling? Sorry, E? First E or second E? Second E, okay. Are you sure? Okay, we patch it.
You are talking like a LLM.
Exactly. Okay. Right? So every time whenever you're in the vulnerability, we need to be sure that what exactly you want to fix, right? So vulnerability is nothing but a weakness. Weakness of your operating system, weakness of your anything. So that's nothing but a vulnerability. So let's understand what exactly the understanding. So before you understand the product, let's say inspector or any other third-party tool, you need to understand some concept about the vulnerability. Now the first thing here, we have how exactly we detect the vulnerability, how we can say that's a vulnerability. So anyone have an answer? when you can say, so if I ask you that is what is virus? So you can say that anything which is happen in my computer, which is I can't explain, that's nothing but a virus for me, right? So same thing, what do you think, what is a virus for you? Sorry, vulnerability for you? When you say that, okay, this is a vulnerability. Mahima, what do you think? Okay.
Wonderful.
Okay, unknown risk. Anything, anyone? So when we can say, okay, this is a vulnerability exactly. Right? So there are a lot of things, right? So loopholes, weaknesses in this set. So these are some different tools, right? For an example, say in AWS, we have a AWS Inspector, Nessus, Qualys. These are what? These are the vulnerability detection. Okay, remember they are not a remediation tool. These are the detection tool. When I say remediation, it means what? That's an automatically patches apply if any vulnerability is detected. So I'm very much happy with the working with the college. Why? Because we are just detecting it. We are not resolving the issue actually, right? What happens is that we detect, okay, this is a vulnerability, now get lost. Okay, in short, do whatever you want and you can fix up. Next time, make sure you should not detect the same vulnerability. Else, then it's a completely IT manager job. So the love I more because there is no issue with the downtime as well, because why? We just showing the vulnerability. So these are what? These are not a remediation tools. These are the detection tools. So like in Nessus, Qualys, then OpenVAS, and then many tool. So we detect the vulnerability by using some reverse engineerings. There are a lot of things. We also have a tied up with the third-party organizations who can also provide us these kind of the vulnerability, and we can detect it. So even though there are also manual as well, even though some software updates and some threat intelligence. So these are a way we can detect these vulnerabilities.
So we have seen what are the different tools, but how do you define it? Yeah, how do you define that this is a vulnerability? How do you categorize it? How do you quantify it? So there's something called as common vulnerability and exposure, CVE, and this is a unique identifier which is given to any vulnerability which is available in the market. Yeah, means it's kind of a publicly available vulnerability, and it is given a unique identifier. Yeah, what is the purpose of it? Now, I may have certain vulnerabilities in my system, and I might say that this is trying to do some kind of a brute force attack into my environment. Yeah, maybe, just giving an example. But is it the same vulnerability what you are experiencing within your? So the CV standard or CV score will tell you that this is a CVE, and this is the standard definition of that CV, that it is going to do the exact same thing, whether it is your environment, whether it is my environment. So that is the purpose of the CV, and this is maintained by something called as Mitra in coordination with different global organizations which are particularly trying to standardize the definition of these CVs. Next.
So now here you can see this is one of the example, right, of the vulnerability. So what exactly the vulnerability? So CVE, common vulnerability exposures, and this was detected in 2024, right? So there are some vulnerabilities which is also detected in 2023, 2022. So you can understand, okay, these 2024, it means these are the vulnerability which is in 2024. And then there are a specific number, 301-S04. So now in other technologies or other security tools, so it might happen that Symantec detect one malware or some Trojan. They detect as a Trojan.agent.atv. They gave their name. So in other security tools, they also gave some different name related to the Trojan family. But here in the vulnerability, so all the vulnerability, they have a similar number. So whether it is detected by the Qualys inspector or Nessus or anything, okay, it has always a specific number. So we'll get the standardized number for the each vulnerabilities. And now let's say once you, so now what exactly? This is a NIST, National Vulnerability Databases. So if you want to search that, okay, you have some vulnerability, you have a number. Now you can just go to that specific NIST website, you can search a number and you will get in details. What details? You will get in descriptions, what exactly is vulnerability. And also here in the hyperlink, we called it advisory link. That is a vendor advisory link. So vendor, share this information to the NIST that, okay, these are the vulnerability and how exactly you can resolve the issue or how you can remediate the vulnerabilities. Obviously, there are many factors, ports and everything. So this way, you will get all the information on the NIST. And
yeah. Then we have something called as CNA, which is nothing but a numbering authority. This numbering authority is nothing but the OEM which is going to represent this by some kind of an ID, CV ID. Yeah, so we have different CNAs like AWS, Microsoft, and so on, which will play a critical role in terms of defining what are the vulnerabilities, document it, what are the remediation you can do to remediate it. Yeah, it will also tell you that where this vulnerability is going to attack you, what is the surface area, and who are the affected users because of this. So this CNA number is also very, very important when it comes to the vulnerability. Next. So we have seen that the CV is a score. Yeah. So the CV score are categorized into different categories. Yeah. Those categories are divided into critical, high, medium, low. They are categorized on a scale of 0 to 10. 10 being the highest, which is nothing but critical, and 0 being the lowest. Now, any organization who is trying to figure out how their security posture is need to focus majorly, yeah, and with urgent attention is the critical and high severity. Anybody heard of this critical high severity? Anybody who's working on any tool? Wonderful. Any tool you are using right now? Anybody? Okay, wonderful.
Tenable.
Yeah. Okay. So what are the different things which are denoting this kind of a scores are the metrics which will tell you that how confidential data it is going to impact. Yeah. What are the compromise in terms of the confidentiality of the data is going to impact, whether my data is going to alter because of this vulnerability or not. Yeah, is there any kind of alteration of my data? And the third is whether this vulnerability is going to impact my availability. Everybody must have heard of Log4j, correct? Yeah, that was a kind of a zero-day vulnerability which was crept into the system. And during the initial days of Log4j, people were not aware what are the remediation steps you have to take. Yeah, so again, key thing to remember is the zero-day vulnerability. Those are kind of vulnerabilities which are detected, but there's no remediation for it. And slowly people will work on it and then try to get a fix. So those are very, very critical, needs immediate attention, and we need to act upon it. So remember, anything which is 9.0 to 1, critical, needs immediate attention. Lot of large organizations have a policy that if there is a critical or a high vulnerability, you need to follow SLA of, let's say, 1 week, 15 days, again, based upon your organization need. So this is your other space score for it.
So you can see here in the NIST as well, you will also get the information about what exactly this current vulnerability. Let's say you have some number. So you will get an information whether what is a base score. So you can see 8.8, it means what? High. 7.1, it means what? Also high. And 6.3, it means also medium. So even though in these kind of the databases, NIST and Mitra, so you will get information about what exactly the base score, and you can see the different versions. If you're on the top, CVSS version 4.0, CVSS version 2.0. So what exactly? These are the versions as well. So in coming next might be this base score 8.8 might be a change in upcoming versions, because there also, whenever we patch it, there are different type of patches that we need to apply it. So you can also check what exactly the base score is. Coming back to the why we are here about the AWS Inspector. So now what exactly the AWS Inspector? So AWS Inspector is also a vulnerability management tool as well, but that is for the AWS. So it is a completely, I can say, security assessment, not only for your EC2, but it is also compatible with your Lambda functions and also the container as well. So you will also find a vulnerability. Obviously, in EC2, we also have a operating system, so obviously we'll get it. But in the Lambda functions or in the container also, if you have anything, you will also get those vulnerability detection. Again, this AWS Inspector is again the detection. It will not resolve your issues. I mean to say, you need to apply the manually. Let's say you can configure the patch management or any other some tool, but the inspector tool is basically only to detect the vulnerability. So now, as I said that it is okay, work with the EC2, ECR and Lambda as well. So here you can see there are different features of the inspector.
So as Ameya was saying that inspector is about automating finding of the vulnerabilities. So, sorry. So one of the critical component which is helping us to detect these vulnerabilities is nothing but a agent, yeah, which is called as SSM agent, which goes and sits on your EC2 instance, which scans your EC2 instance for any kind of vulnerabilities, yeah, or those which are present within the software which are part of that particular EC2 instance, any packages which are installed. Inspector also does tell you that if there is any kind of a network configuration which is mismanaged or which is not in the right format, yeah, this AWS Inspector agent collect all the metrics, and then it will show you a list of CV score for all the software packages which are part of that. Once you have all this detail, you can generate a report. Based upon that, you can take actions. Based upon the CV score, you will also see the footprint of that CV score as to what is the problem it is going to cause, what are the remediation step you can do. Ameya showed you the vendor link, which tells you what are the things it has found out. By using this AWS Inspector, you are going to get a clear insight into different software vulnerabilities, misconfiguration, and compliance gap. Misconfiguration, I want to give you a simple example. Is like you use your mobile phone, correct? And you can very well use your mobile without any kind of a passcode and anything. Yeah.
Swapping.
Yeah. So passcode, if you don't use it, still you are able to use your mobile, correct? But is that the right way of using the mobile in this world? No, correct? Because today the mobile has become so important in our life that everything is on the mobile, our banking transaction, our financial transaction, personal details, and so on. So similar to this, like even the AWS Inspector will be able to detect any kind of a misconfiguration, whether it's a opening of the port 000 to the world and so on. Yeah, so this is also being detected by the AWS Inspector. Yeah, next.
And in misconfigurations, right? So you don't have any kind of the CVE number because these are the misconfigurations. So even though if you detect these kind of the vulnerability, you will not get any kind of the CVE number. So you'll just information that these are the even though the password you can set password, then admin@123. So in these kind of the tools, they already trying to log in with your application or something, whether you have these kind of the passwords or not. Or there is a QID or some ID they are become and they are performing through that specific code number. So what exactly the best practices here? Toshal.
Yeah. So when we are actually using this AWS Inspector agent, it is going to continuously scan your environment and find out these things. These findings can be integrated into something called as AWS Security Hub, which is a centralized kind of a service where it aggregates all the logs, various metrics into a centralized location, and you can use that to actually integrate it with different AWS services. So Ameya was talking about that it is only for identifying the vulnerabilities. What about remediation? So you can ingest those data of the report and integrate with your AWS config, which will go and actually check for any kind of a compliance monitoring. Yeah, whether the port open is there or not. Yeah, the security port. Then you can prioritize all the findings based upon the criticality, and then you can take action on this. So based upon this best practices, you can very well use Inspector to actually identify, categorize it, and then take action in an automated way. Again, the word automated is very important because this vulnerability can creep in any time, and you need to be prepared enough to tackle that in an automated way. Yeah.
So one more thing before I show the demo. So it's not like that now, for an example, you are using the AWS Inspector, so you have all the solutions in AWS Inspector. So answer is no. Every organizations or tool, they have a different detections. So it's not a necessary that every security tool or vulnerability manager application say that, okay, we can scan and we can show you the 100% vulnerability. No, there are different factors, whether the solution really has a solution of the CVE or not. So that is a completely depend upon the tool. So how you can choose the tool? The first thing is that how much detection they have. Right, so there are many organizations. They, every quarter they also have the compliances, test, and everything. So you will get a result that okay, these are the tool, and they have 100%, 90% detection for this specific month. Then again, the second one is whether if you perform the scanning on your specific machine, whether it is impacting your performance or not. Because okay, detection is different and performance is the difference. So I can say these are the two keys, right? Performance and the detections. If you find okay good, you can choose a tool that as well.
And somebody was saying that they were using Tenable. I would like to tell one experience from what we've seen in our organization is when we were doing some kind of a scanning with AWS Inspector, we were getting less number of CVs as compared to when we are doing with the Tenable agent. Yeah. So why this is happening? Because every tool will have its own database which is getting updated based upon the latest CVs which are being added. So at times you might feel that yes, my tool is giving me less number of vulnerabilities as compared to other. So that is okay. If you run a rescan or anything, you might get that vulnerability featured into the report as well. So I think with that, I think we should move to the demo. Yes. So okay, so pause it. So here what we are trying to do is to give you a demo that we will spin up two EC2 instance, one Windows, one Linux machine, and what we will do is we will scan those two EC2 instance using the AWS Inspector. Please play. So here you can see there are two EC2 instance. Yeah. So for using AWS Inspector, as we told that we need to use the Inspector agent, which is nothing but a SSM agent, which needs to be run on these two machines. For these machines to be able to scan, we also need to give a role. Yeah, there's a role which we will see. Yeah, this is the SSM manage instance core role, which will give that permission for the SSM agent to actually go and scan that. So you have to have that role, otherwise it will not show up all the vulnerabilities in the tool. So once we have that in place, we need to apply that role to both the incidents or all the incidents which are there part of your environment. Now, after that, we have to go to the AWS Inspector. Now, AWS Inspector comes with a kind of a 15-day trial. So where you can, yeah, so it is showing the role which we have applied. We've named the role as SSM, and it is applied to the EC2 instance.
So whenever you are in the AWS Inspector, so for the trial version, right? So I hope most of the people using that AWS trial version. So this inspector is also available for the 15 days free trial account, okay? So you can also use that, it's okay, only for the T2 micro or some of the machines that you can use it. And once you just need to activate, so by default in every region, okay, you have a inspector, but activate is not option available. So you need to manually activate those inspector. And I'll just say that it's this centralized delegation administrator. For example, we have organizations, okay, I have a 10, 20, 30. So I can also get all the details in a single AWS account. So for that, I'll just say that, okay, that's my account ID is my delegations, delegated administrator account, and I'll just delegate it. It means, so this is my centralized account. So I'll just finish it. And once, you activate it, and after a few seconds, you will also get all the informations in here. So you will also get the information about why the vulnerabilities by specific EC2 instance or these specific Lambda. You will also get those informations. So and after a few seconds, you can see I have a 2 instance and there are 3 Lambda functions which is in the Mumbai region. Yeah. Remember, Lambda is a regional services. So I can see there are 2 instances which is currently there and it's 100% scan. If you want to see the vulnerabilities, okay, so I have, just pause for the second. So remember, in the security, so a lot of people say that, okay, I want to be a AWS security guy, or I want to complete the security. So in security, okay, so it's just a one-click information. I mean to say, for this vulnerability, anyone can, who has a technical knowledge or non-technical knowledge, they can, use the security tool. But exactly the security guy come to the picture whenever you have a reports in hand. Right? So the configuration part is just in one click. But resolutions, okay, for that you required some additional knowledge about from what exactly the virus is, malware, trojans, ransomware, and many things.
Yeah, so you can see 3 lambdas. Can you play the video?
Play.
At this moment, you can see that there are no repository in the account, so that's why it is showing 0 of the 0. And these are the 2 EC2 instance. And you can see that it is monitored by the agent base. It's showing that it is agent based. Yeah, there you can see. Yeah. Then we will also see the Lambda function, which are being tracked for any kind of vulnerabilities. Generally, the vulnerabilities may be in some kind of a Python package or any kind of underlying things. You can also filter these things by using the instant, Lambda function, vulnerabilities, or even by account. In this case, we have just used one account, as Ameya said, and these are the reports which are there. Once you enable your account to scan the vulnerabilities, the vulnerabilities will take some amount of time, or the report takes some amount of time to be shown here. So you have to wait for some time, and then it will be shown here.
So for this demo, actually, we have used older version to 2016 Windows and also older the AMI. And we have opened all the security groups port, that's in 0 to 65535. That's the reason you will get these kind of the vulnerabilities you can see. So obviously, depend upon security ports, okay, or the port that you have. If you open 80, you will get a list of information of the port 80. So it's, if you block all the port, obviously there is no vulnerability detection. Why? Because obviously to check that vulnerability, okay, the tool must have access of that specific port. Then only they can show the information. So this is only for the demo that we have shown you, that we have opened 0 to 65535 all the ports here, and you can see the vulnerabilities here. You can see the critical, high level, all the vulnerability is there.
And you can see the details about the CVS score, yeah, and then yes, if I just click on there, okay, you can see the CVS score is there, 9.8, critical severity. Whether the fix is available or not, it is said. Whether the exploit is available or not, that is also there. And this is another one, which is a high one, which is showing as 7.8. Again, the same thing what we have seen in this. So you can have a clear view of what are the things which are available.
And then after that, let's suppose whether the inspector have a solution, resolution or not. Because as I said that all vulnerability, it's not compulsory that, okay, AWS inspector has all the solution. So even though if you see, okay, in the left side, videos play. Okay, so here you can see vulnerability database search. So every tool you will find a database search as well. So you can check, you can just provide the CV number and you can check whether you have a detection or not. So for example, Toshal just talking about the log4j, which is happened in December 2021, right? So it's again one of the disaster moment. So you can see, yes, the inspector has these solutions of the CV 2021-44228. So you can also search whether you have a detection or not. In case if you find that, okay, AWS inspector is not having a solution of that specific CV number, you can also raise a request and you can also add them, request them that we require a solution for this specific CV number. So they will just ask the vendor advisory link and some other information. If you provide in next detections, probably, so obviously there is no ETA for that. It depends upon critical high level vulnerability, the tool will get the resolutions or the ETA. So you can also search all the databases here and you will get this information.
Okay, so with that, we are coming to the conclusion of our demo. The idea behind giving this demo is to make you aware that there are tools which are giving you automated response to any kind of vulnerabilities. And as a user of the system, it is paramount important for all of us to pay attention to this. Have automated remediation on top of it so that our systems are more secure. And as we say that security start from day 0. Yeah. So with that, thank you. We are open for questions. You can connect us on LinkedIn.
Do you have any question, folks? Anyone? Anything? Any question related to the AWS inspector?
Just one question. This AWS inspector can be used in the hybrid mode also with the other systems?
No,
Or
it is only
with
for the AWS, only for the AWS resources. So let's say you have College, Tenable, or these things in your network. So as Toshal say that what you can do for the centralized view perspective, you can also use the security hub. So you'll get all the information, whether it is the AWS or the on-premises. So this inspector is only for the AWS resources, not for any other thing. And that is only for the EC2, Lambda, and the the container.
ACR container registry. Yeah, there's one more question here, this gentleman.
Yeah, when you discussed about various tools, you told that for different tools there will be different levels of detection, right? Some of the vulnerabilities.
Can you be louder, please? I can't hear you.
Yeah, some of the vulnerabilities may not be detected by one tool, but it might
Yeah.
be detected by another tool, right?
Correct,
So
correct.
why is that different? So you told that there is a central database from where
Yes.
all this information is captured, right?
Yeah. So as I said, that reverse engineering. So how exactly the tool detect? So see, whenever any tool have, you are performing the scan, it means what? They are doing some kind of the penetrations. Okay. So they are also doing some vulnerability. So that they can get a response. So every organization, they have a research team. So it might be possible that there is a one CV number which Tenable has a solution, but College they don't have. Why? Because they are checking compatibility, and there are lots of factor behind this. So same like in viruses, right? So you can't say that, okay, Symantec has a detection, then Quickhill has a detection or not. So again, depend upon solutions, how we'll get a solution or how you can detect that vulnerability. So for that, it takes some time.
It's all about the frequency of updates for those the vulnerability definitions, how quickly you test it out and bring some kind of a solution for it. Some tools might be very good at that frequency, some tools might not be. So that's the reason you might see some difference in the vulnerabilities. But whatever the most prominent or what you can say the most common, it will be available immediately. Yeah. So there might be some particular, again, it based upon the architecture, based upon their update cycle.
So that's the reason I say that how you can choose the right tool. So it depends upon the detection. That's the knowledge base, and second is the how they can perform.
Yeah.
Because we're a bit late on time, this will be our last question.
So is there any way to integrate inspector with the pipelines so that during the container image build, I can scan the image before pushing it to the container registry? Is there any way for that?
So,
okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So yes, you can use this, whatever the reports which are generated, they can be integrated with something called as event bridge. The event bridge then can create some kind of action which can be ingested into your pipeline. So yes, it is possible. You have to do some kind of engineering to get that done. So it is possible. Yeah.
Okay, so we are here in case if you need any kind of the informations, if you need any kind of the help in certification, do let us know. We are here. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Please stay on stage. I would like to invite Iqbal and Tinsi to hand over a small gift of our appreciation.
Thank you. Thank you.
A round of applause, please.
Thank you. Where is the photograph? Okay.